guys, I'm Kaye. Thank you for clicking on my video. So today we are doing a full face of drugstore and high-end dupes. This is technically a second part to my series of how to make cheap makeup look expensive. Let me know if you guys can guess which side is the drugstore side and which side is the high-end side. We have some incredible dupes in here, so I hope you guys all enjoy the video. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I upload, and give this video a thumbs up as well. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Hey guys, okay, so let's get started. I was gonna do two primers and I have the Tatcha one, but frankly, like, it's just not as good as the e.l.f. Putty primer, so I'm just not even gonna put it on. So I thought this video would be fun today because I was watching a bunch of these videos the other day. Manny MUA put one out, and so I was like, that would be fun, like that would be a good video. And my how to make cheap makeup look expensive video did really well, and you guys seem to really like that one, so I was like, all right, let's try a new one. Like, I'm down to do it. All right, so we're all primed. I love that primer. There's just no comparison, you know? We have some like interesting ones because I was watching some videos and I was like, that's a dupe for that? Wow. Wow. Sponge I'm using, I've talked about these before on my channel, but they are by the brand Beakey and you can get them on Amazon. I'll make sure to link them. They are 100% a dupe for the Beauty Blender. I in fact think they're better. Like, I think the price just makes them better, you know? This foundation you're gonna be shocked by. So I was watching a video and the girl was doing a dupe for the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation, and she did them side by side. She did it with the L'Oreal Original True Match and the True Match Lumi, and this on her looked exactly like it. Now, I feel like everyone has tried this foundation. It's been around forever, but they really do have such a good shade range in this, like probably the best shade range of any drugstore foundation, and honestly better than some high-end foundations. So it's the L'Oreal True Match, and this is just the original one. They have the luminous one, so if you're dry, that's a good one. I used to wear that all the time. I would actually like to try it out again to see how it is, but since I heard this one was an exact dupe, I'm like, let's try it out. So we'll put the Giorgio Armani on first, which I have two shades because it's so hard to find your match. If you guys have this one, you'll know, because the undertones are just weird in this. I don't know why. So I'm mixing 6.5 and 4. I've talked about this one before. You guys all know that I love it. I like that it's kind of like a watery formula, and the thing that's nice about those is it doesn't cake up, but this one tends to have really nice coverage. It's not too heavy. You never look cakey when this is on. I just love the finish, and I do feel like it wears well. Like, it's not like it's the most long wearing foundation, but it looks really pretty when you wear it. Like, it's just a very gorgeous natural foundation. So as you can see, it just looks like skin. It's very nice. It feels weightless on the skin. It almost just feels like you have a moisturizer on. It's fantastic. I love it. So let's try the True Match. I have the shade W3, which I was thinking about W4, which might fit me a little bit better, at least the tan on my neck, but alas, I did not. One of my favorite ways to apply these, I wouldn't do this if I was using this foundation on clients, but what I do is I take my finger on top, move it around, and then you get a good amount of product on there. Oh, that actually might be a good shade. So I'm gonna do just 2 stripes, and then I'm using a different sponge just so we don't get them all mixed. That actually looks so similar, you guys. Yeah, a super similar finish. So the reason why I would do this one instead of, or why I picked this one instead of the Lumi, like I said, is because I watched a video. Even though it says Luminous Silk, it's not like a super dewy foundation. It's more of a natural finish. I feel like this one has less coverage than the Luminous Silk, but I also have like a zit on that side, so. And this also doesn't have a pump, so it's kind of harder to know how much you're getting on here. But it looks smooth. One thing I really like about this, so this is super watery, or not super watery, but it's more of a water-based foundation. It doesn't feel thick going onto the skin. It feels very natural, and it looks very natural. It matches the texture to your skin, which I like, which is how the Luminous Silk one is. But as you can see, very, very similar. If there's any difference at all, it's that this looks a little less luminous in here than it does over here. but the color looks good. Like it, other than just that teeny bit of shine on this side, which I still kind of have on this side, it looks pretty much exactly the same. I'm kind of shocked. Let's see, I guess I should do brows, drugstore, high-end. I need to not forget, you guys. So these aren't complete dupes, and there's honestly probably a better one for a better dupe for this. I do love this brow pencil. It's more of a like definer brow pencil. You're not really gonna draw like brow-like strokes with it. It's more for someone who already has brows and just kind of wants like a more filled in look. Match up with the corner of the nose. And then I'll kind of flip it vertically for when I kind of want those hair-like strokes. And then go back and forth in the brow. Some people are like, don't go against the grain. I like to because you can get the hairs underneath and you can get those spots that you would normally miss. I would just say like be careful, like don't let it slip, otherwise you know it's gonna go everywhere. You obviously don't have as much control going against the grain as you do just going with it. So the dupe I have, like I said, it's not a complete dupe, but I have been liking this brow pencil. It's the e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil, but it's funny because this is called the Brow Lift by Charlotte Tilbury, and this is called the Instant Lift Brow by e.l.f. I actually didn't even realize that until now. This one is not angled. It's just like a thicker, it's thicker than like the NYX Micro Brow Pencil or the Anastasia Brow Wiz. Like I said, you're not drawing brow-like strokes. It's just kind of defining the brow. It's more of like a brow definer. But the color is pretty much exactly the same. This is slightly warmer, you can actually tell that. But what I'll do to kind of help that out is just take my foundation sponge and go over that. And that just helps dull it down a little bit. Okay, for concealer, I am duping the Yves Saint Laurent, or YSL. We'll just say YSL because I probably said that wrong.
It's like a totally important designer.
Touche Éclat High Cover Radiant Concealer and the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. Now I didn't love this concealer at first, but the key is to use a sponge with it. You cannot use a brush with it, otherwise it's just gonna pill and look super textured. But when you use a sponge with it for some reason, it's like so smooth and beautiful. So just keep that in mind if you guys purchase this one. Let's do the Touche Éclat one first, which I don't love the applicator on this, I'll be honest. I just feel like it's not very clean or hygienic, and it's kind of hard to get product out. Like you just click it, I guess. Like it's not that hard, but I don't reach for it very often just like because of that. It's just annoying, frankly. I mean, it didn't really cover that well, I'll be honest, but my dark circles are hard to cover. I don't think this is gonna be that much better. But since this does have more coverage, I'm just gonna put a little bit more on just so it's a little more fair, you know? I have just one shade darker in that same e.l.f. concealer just so that matches more, so we're not like, you know, totally off. But this definitely covers more. Like this is called high cover and you're like, what? Okay, that's better. I feel like that matches more. What do you guys think? Yeah, that's not even a comparison. This is just better. So for these next products, I'm really excited. These have been talked about nonstop and it was sold out. So I'm so glad that I was able to grab it at Target today and it was in stock because I was like, yes, yes, yes. If I have texture on my pores or anything, I use this Bobbi Brown Skin Foundation Powder in Warm Ivory. And what I do, I'm just gonna take the same sponge for this. This one's super dirty, I'm so sorry. I just take a dry foundation sponge. And the reason I do dry instead of wet is because if you use a wet sponge on this, it will create like a, it like forms like a crust, I guess. You just don't wanna use a wet sponge, use a dry sponge. So I just take it here and it just mattifies and smooths out and adds like a really nice coverage. But I just love how smooth it makes my skin look. Like just look at the comparison. I'll turn the lights down a little bit so you can see the texture a little bit better. So hopefully you can see, it's just so smooth right there compared to this side. Again, I'm hoping you can see the difference, but it really does make a huge difference. Yeah, I just take it and then I just kind of do it on places where there's a little more texture or I need smoothness. And then on the other side of the sponge, we're going to use the Infallible, or the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation and a powder, which that one I've also heard is a dupe for the Giorgio Armani and I do have it, but the scent drives me crazy. I hate the scent. So that's why I got the True Match when I heard that that one was similar, because I was just like, we're not doing that today.
No.
This is in the shade 125 Ivory Buff, which is pretty similar in shade. This might be a little bit more yellow. I'm gonna try it on the other side of the sponge just to keep it even. It's definitely darker than the other one, just slightly. And then what I'm going to do next is bronzer before eyes, just because I feel like it adds like some structure to the face, so I don't feel like I have to do like as much on the eyes. Ours today are the Hoola Bronzer by Benefit, and then the number 7 Caramel Bronzer, which the Physicians Formula is also a good dupe, but I absolutely love this number 7 one because it's matte. So Hoola on this side. And then for the other side, I'm just gonna kind of wipe it off on my hand. I'm so sorry. Yeah, this one's just so good. And when you first get it, it kind of has ridges in it, so it looks just like a Charlotte Tilbury packaging. It's so similar. So it kind of makes you feel like a little luxurious. I'll see, hopefully you can still find it. You might have to get it off of like an Amazon website or something, but I just love this and it's my favorite drugstore bronzer. So I'm gonna set these eyelids and let my camera cool down a bit, and then I'll be right back to start on the eyes. Alrighty guys, so let's move on to eyeshadow. So the two palettes I have are the beloved Natasha Denona bronze palette, which is super fingerprinty, I'm sorry. And then we have the Morphe 3502 palette, which is pretty friggin' similar. Let me hold them up next to each other so you guys can see. So here are the two next to each other, where I feel like there's a lot of similar shades. Like, it's not an exact dupe, but you have like quite a few of these colors in this palette, and you don't have to break the bank. Manny also did a dupe video like this, and he used the Madison Beer palette with this one, but I never bought the Madison Beer palette because all the reviews I read on it were just so bad that I was like, I don't need just another neutral palette from Morphe if it's not that great, you know? Which those are just reviews I've heard. I haven't tried it personally. I'm not trying to like talk bad. I'm gonna tell you, like, this isn't gonna be exactly the same as Natasha Denona, but if you are looking for a palette that's more affordable, that's similar, this is probably the closest. So I'm gonna take, I'm like holding them up to each other because I just wanna get the best match in shades. So we're gonna do the luxury side first. So I am going to dip into the shade Beach, which is one of my favorite transition shades ever. It's just so beautiful. It's just like a nice peachy beige color. It's just perfect. It's perfection. And just the pigmentation, the blendability, amazing. It's just, it's phenomenal. And this one is a lot less than their other palettes. Like, I was able to stomach the price of this one. One, I loved the colors. I know it's a neutral palette and I know it's a warm neutral palette, but I feel like all the warm neutral palettes are very red or orange or kind of pink, and this was just like, it was perfect. Exactly what I would want in a neutral palette. So I bought it. Do I do the whole eye first? I guess I do, right? I'm gonna take the shade Ridge. But yeah, the reason I was able to stomach this one is because it was 60 instead of like 125 for an eyeshadow palette. Because 125 I was like, no, not at all. Pat McGrath, I can be persuaded. The next shade I'm going to take is Magma. And I'm just gonna pop it into the outer corner. This is pretty much the look I do with this palette like every time. It's kind of embarrassing. So you guys have probably already seen this look, but it's just a good, pretty, everyday look, at least in my eyes. I know some people don't wear this much eyeshadow every day. They're probably like, this is every day for you. And I'm like, yes, I love eyeshadow. Oh, and just the richness of these shadows, the color payoff, like, there's nothing like this, you guys. I'm actually gonna wait to do the lid just so I can make sure it's perfect on this side. For this eye, we're gonna take this shade. This was the closest to Beach, which this is pretty dang close. It just has more of a yellow undertone. So I'm gonna mix it a little bit with this shade. So you're gonna have to do a little bit of mixing for it to work and look the same. That's pretty. I actually do really like this Morphe palette. I do travel with it quite a bit because it has all the colors I like, and you have a lot of shades, which is nice. So for the next shade, this seemed to be closest to the other one I went in with to deepen the crease. It's just kind of like a caramely mustardy brown. So we're gonna go in with that. Maybe just a touch of this, I don't know. And maybe Okay. Hopefully this matches, you guys. I'm really sorry if it doesn't, but I'm doing the best I can, okay? Ooh, that looks pretty close. I'm gonna be taking the shade in directly in the middle of the palette, this guy.
Oh wait, no. That was not what I wanted. Shoot.
Okay, I'm taking this one. This was the one I wanted. And popping that on the outer corner. That's like nowhere near as rich as that one. Like they look the same, but like they're not. So I'm also gonna take a little bit of this shade down here and this one. So I'm gonna take these two that are darker just so that matches, because like the depth just came out of nowhere. Blend that. I am using different brushes just because I didn't want them to mix, you know? So the mattes I would say are, like the Morphe ones are obviously not as pigmented. We're not gonna pretend that they are, but they're very comparable, and the mattes in this particular palette I would say are better than the other Morphe palettes. And so I'm just blending, making sure everything is all good up in here. But I would say that's pretty dang close. Like it looks like I'm wearing the same eyeshadows, I think, at least, you know? Very blended, but yeah, the colors are very similar. You just have to do a little bit of mixing, but you can get it to look pretty much the same. So let's move on to the lid shade. I honestly don't think that there's a shimmer in here that is gonna match this one as well, because these shimmers are just incredible. They're the best. So I have a little guy here, just a loose one, which is pretty similar to the shade Silk, which is my favorite shade in this palette. It's so gorgeous. So I'm just gonna use my finger because they apply best this way. And they're kind of like that foiled type of shadow, so they're not gonna be super smooth. They're just more like that like high impact shadow. That's what I would say. And then I'm just blending out that corner. There we go. Just so there's not as much of like a glitter matte, you know? I like a nice blend always. I'm going to take this liquid, or not liquid, gosh, this loose powder shadow. This should be pretty similar. Let's see if we can do it. Ooh. And this is a lot more finely milled, so if you want more of like a smooth shadow, but this really is such a pretty shadow. It's by Meech and Maya, and I think it's $11. I just looked it up. So this is a teeny bit more gold than that Silk shade. The Silk shade is a little more coppery. I'm actually gonna take a little bit of a Morphe shadow just so we can make that match completely, but I did want you to see the impact of that one. So I'm gonna take this shade here on top of it. I'd say that's pretty much the same. Okay, so I just applied the L'Oreal Carbon Black Pencil Perfect liner. I love this one. It's honestly the best black, just roll up liner. I love it. And then I did apply some highlight in the inner corners. They're two different ones, but these were very, very similar, which shocked me. So on this side is an e.l.f. highlighter, and it is called Sunset Glow, but I thought it kind of looked similar to Champagne Pop. It's not as reflective as Champagne Pop, but it's pretty close, as you can see on my eye. So here's Champagne Pop in here, and then Sunset Glow. Very similar. This one just isn't as peachy, but very close. And I know with Becca closing, people are like scared of like Champagne Pop being gone, but this is very, very close. So Sunset Glow by e.l.f. and I think it's like $3 or $5, just super cheap. There's a motorcycle that just wants to just show off over here and is just revving it. Run along. These are the two mascaras that I've really been liking. They're not necessarily dupes for one another, but I just really enjoy both of them. So I have the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise, which you all know is my favorite. And then I have the Milk Makeup Kush Waterproof Mascara. So totally different, but I just really like them and wanted to shout them out. So yeah, definitely not like the same mascara, but like my eyelashes don't look totally different. I like that this gives you like a nice fluffy lash, but the L'Oreal Voluminous one gives you nice voluminous curled lashes. Okay, so let's move on to blush. So this is kind of a mauve-y blush. I don't know if this necessarily goes with the look today, but it's pretty similar to the one I have. So it's the Milani Dolce Pink blush. Oh, no. Petal Primavera. because I just thought it was really pretty. Got this Hourglass palette, and I thought the baked formulas might be similar. So I thought it'd be similar to this. So let me show you them swatched because it's hard to tell with this being all swirled together, you know? So we'll swatch the Milani one first. So there it is. And then we'll swatch the Hourglass one, which that's lighter. So it's not exactly the same. Yeah, that's a little bit darker, but that was the closest I could get, so I'm really sorry about that. They actually look pretty similar on my fingers. I'm just gonna apply a little bit less of the Milani one, so I'm gonna take more of a sheer brush. Also, this would be such a good bridal blush. That's so pretty. Or I guess I went kind of heavy-handed. Whoops. I should have done the other one first. So I'm just gonna pounce it out with my beauty blender. Gonna take a denser brush. Okay, so it actually looks really similar on the face, you guys. And what I like about these two is you don't have to worry about the extra step of highlighter. It just looks like you have really healthy, glowing skin. But if I did have to say which color I like better, I kind of like the Milani one. I feel like it looks really, really smooth on the face. Like, do you see that? So smooth. And then this side isn't as smooth. It's a little patchy. And it's almost too shimmery, where this one's almost like a glow from within kind of look. Wow, I'm impressed. These are underrated. They're so underrated. There are other good colors in those than just Luminoso, you guys. Now for lips. You guys see me use this all the time. It's the Laura Mercier Chestnut Liner. And then I have the Milani liner in Spice, which has been well loved. As you can see, it's just a little guy now. So here's the Spice, and then here is the Chestnut. Chestnut's just slightly lighter, but they're so close you can hardly even tell. So I'm just gonna fill in the drugstore side first. So Spice. And then for the lipsticks, I have this Maybelline Superstay Ink Crayon in the shade Talk the Talk. And then I have MAC Honey Love. So those are both pretty darn close. I'll just put them on my lips to show you. Ooh, that color, so pretty. And I love crayons so much. It's probably my favorite lip product form, I guess you would say. And then the Honey Love MAC lipstick on the other side, which this side just has a teeny bit more peach to it, but overall pretty similar. It looks like I'm wearing the same lipstick. Like, if I didn't tell you, you probably wouldn't know, you know? And then for gloss, I have two very similar ones. I have the Marc Jacobs Pretty Thing, and then the NYX Butter Gloss Creme Brulee. I love these butter glosses. They are so good. Oh wait, that's the wrong side, shoot. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, you guys. And it's just kind of nice and like creamy looking. This one's gonna be a little more high shine, I can already tell you. You guys, I am shocked. I feel like this looks so, like, would you know that I was wearing two different sides of makeup? I feel like this looks so similar. I am shocked. Wow. Wow, oh my gosh. This is crazy. Yeah, you would not know that I was wearing two different like sides on my face, like two different makeup looks. This is, I just picked up a Milani Rose Water spray because I love rose. I just love how it smells. Okay, so let's just go over everything really quick and just talk through everything. It seriously looks the same. I went out to my boyfriend and asked if he could tell which side was like high-end and which side was drugstore. He actually guessed that he said he couldn't tell the difference, but he actually said that the high-end side looked like it was drugstore. So yeah, that's crazy. So let's just walk through each of the things. So as far as the Giorgio Armani and this goes, I would say, I guess I should hold them on the right side. The True Match side actually looks a little bit smoother, surprisingly. I do have that other powder, but the L'Oreal powder actually makes me look a little bit more poreless, surprisingly. It does collect here. I did put powder here on that side where I can kind of just see that it's a little textured. As far as concealer goes, I mean, now that it's on, I can't really tell much of a difference from the finishes or anything, or like the formula, but I will say I like the e.l.f. one better. So that's kind of a shocker. But yeah, the Giorgio Armani was my favorite foundation for so long, so I'm just shocked, frankly. Then as far as the mascaras go, like I said, they weren't dupes, but they actually look pretty freaking similar on the lids. Champagne Pop and e.l.f. highlighter, I can't get over how close that looks in the inner corner. That is insane. And the eyeshadows, once we mixed those shades, it actually looks very similar to that silk shade, so you can get a very similar effect, which is way cool. The bronzers, I feel like look pretty much exactly the same. In fact, so the bronzers we used were the Caramel No. 7 bronzer and the Hoola bronzer. This one I felt like actually blended a little bit better. This side I do have some problems with. Like I just have some acne scars and stuff, but I feel like this one blended better than the Hoola. So that's kind of wild. As for blush, this one definitely wins over the Hourglass one. I like that there's more color than there is shine in this one. The Hourglass one, there's a lot more shimmer. So if you like more glow than you like color, you would like the Hourglass one. But this, just awesome. And I'm definitely going to be wearing this color a lot more often because it was so, so gorgeous. Brows, I would say that the Charlotte Tilbury one is still better. Like this is close, but I mean, the angle is not the same. I know there's a L'Oreal one that would be closer to this, but the eyeshadow, I feel like you can get a very similar look as we showed with the Morphe palette as opposed to the Natasha Denona palette. The shimmers are, like I said, more foiled in the Natasha Denona palette. I would still say that the Natasha Denona one is better than the Morphe, but we got very, very close, you guys. We got so close to that one. So I would say the Morphe one is a great palette for if you're wanting to dupe that, or if you already have it and we're thinking about the Natasha Denona. You don't really need it, you know? But if you want it, get it. I'm not one to be like, don't buy that. Don't spend your money. As for the lips, I feel like they look so similar. The liners are very, very close. I feel like the chestnut one, was that the chestnut? So I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe so you can see more videos of mine, and give this video a thumbs up as well if you liked it and want to see more. Comment down below what your drugstore favorites are, and you know, which side you like better, or if you can't tell a difference either, because I really can't. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.